Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Oratory for this LRTEA World Championship, sponsored by the Moore Family Office. This is the first semi-final between defending champion Claire Fahey and challenger Saskia Bollerman, appearing in the semi-finals of the championship for the second time, first since 2017. I'll be your commentator today, swapping out with Claire Bucknell from Hatfield and the LRTA. And joining me is a man who knows both the Oratory and World Championships very well, Chris Ronaldson. Morning, Chris.
Good morning to you. Isn't it exciting?
It's excellent. It's great to be here. There's a crowd in the dead-on. We're sitting in the Royal Dead-on just behind, monitoring things on about 700 screens here. What are you looking forward to from these two players, Chris?
First of all, the clash of styles. Seeing what they choose to serve on a court like this.
And how does the court play? You've played here, you've helped out at the Oratory. For those who don't know it and are watching, what are the things you'd be thinking about getting ready for a match here?
The most distinctive thing about the court here is the very wide timbre. An extra foot or so wider than most, so it makes a difference covering the timbre and the grille.
Excellent. And you said about the clash in styles. You've coached Saskia and played with her. What are her advantages? What are her key shots?
She is an amazing volleyer and has a great joie de vivre about the game. She just loves playing. Is terribly enthusiastic and full of energy.
Yeah, she was enthusiastic this morning and looking forward to the match, I think. And Claire, obviously, on her home court, that's such an advantage, isn't it?
It is. I mean, in this particular case, to call a spade, Claire has all the advantages anyway. She's some 18 points better in handicap and on her own court, all the experience in the world. She's a remorseless player with no gaps at all.
Yeah, and there's a reason she hasn't lost a set in a World Championship final, which maybe we'll talk about later in the weekend. It is almost an old-fashioned World Championship, this. It feels like a challenge match because we've come to the Champions' Court to play, and that is a huge advantage, of course. What are Claire's strengths in the game?
She hits the strings all the time, that's the first thing. She doesn't hit the wood. She plays all types of games. She has a wonderful volley return serve. She has a big force. She's quick around the court. Just doesn't make silly mistakes.
Yeah, you almost make this game sound simple, you know.
No, I said she doesn't make silly mistakes.
Yeah.
I make plenty.
No, that makes sense. Of course, this is one of a series of World Championship events that run every couple of years in the women's game. Have you been to a Women's World Championship before?
Well, I was there at the first one in 1985, which was down in Melbourne, when the great Judy Clark won her first title. And I've been to one or two others since, yes. Not as many as the Men's World Championship, but yeah. It's been the biggest development of the game, of course, in the last little bit, is the advent of the women, because the first ever British Open was in 1978. And when I first started playing this game, there were just 3 or 4 women around the world who played.
Yeah, and the standard this week has been great. This is not counting the handicap doubles, this is the 52nd match, and they've all been streamed, and there have been excellent matches all over the place. We've now got Claire's career highlights up on screen. We almost need a bigger box there, particularly, of course, that World Championship run, undefeated since she first entered in 2011. We think in 2009, when she didn't play, it was her GCSE year. So it's a really, really remarkable record. Saskia, on the other hand, has won some Opens, of course. She's, I think, won the Australian, French and US Open. But with Claire's most recent matches here, so far hasn't dropped a game in the tournament. So beat Savannah Pullman 6-love, 6-love a few days ago, and then a double bagel against Nicola from RTC, which is another 6-love, 6-love. Focused and ready to defend her title. Is it difficult as you get, when you're playing, you were a champion as well, Chris, when you're playing the early stages of these matches, you have to concentrate, you have to keep things serious, but then as you get deeper, you play closer matches like that against Sass. Is it difficult to pick up the pace, as it were, as you go?
No, I think most top players, what they do is they try and build through a tournament, so you get progressively sharper towards the end of it. You don't necessarily want to be playing at your very best at the start of a tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. So we should have 2 good matches here. Saskia, of course, the women's Dutch champion. She has been the Dutch champion, beating her brother, who will have enjoyed the fact that I mentioned that. You know the Dutch well, Chris, of course, because they come and play at Radley. It's been a great thing having that group playing and extending the game to a new country.
It's always been our best week of the year when Dutch come. They're a fantastic group. There's usually about 50 of them who turn up, and they play hard all day at various sports, and they drink hard all night, as far as I can see.
I'm sure that Saskia had a quiet night last night. Here's recent matches, including dealing with 2 of my colleagues from Oxford on her way to this semi-final, beating Sophie Dan Reuter 6-love, 6-1, and then a surprisingly close match, I think, against Georgie Willis. Georgie was 5-3 and 30-love up in the first set against Sass, before she came back to win that 6-5, and then took the second set 6-1. It just shows what can happen if somebody loses concentration, is put under pressure by a worse player. It'd be fun if we saw something similar in this match. Here's the head-to-head. They've played 6 times, most recently the semi-final of last year's French Open, and then before that in pre-pandemic life, I think pick out from that 2 Open finals in 2018, the Australian Open and the British Open, and indeed the French is in there as well, all going to Claire by fairly handy margins, 6-1, 6-2, 6-love, 6-1 and 6-1, 6-1.
This is the semi-final of the 2023 Ladies World Championship Singles. At the receiver's end, the number 4 seed, Saskia Bollerman. Service end, the number 1 seed, Claire Fahey.
Woo!
Let's go! That's 3 6-game sets. Level.
Here we go.
Chase the line.
The chase to start.
Love.
I think that score's wrong. It's 15 love and 1 chase.
Love.
Okay. Saskia over enthusiastic there, I think. Early points. Lovely backhand pickup from Claire there, Chris.
Yes, and interesting to see her serving a railroad. The railroad is a fairly new development for her. She reached her best handicap of, I think, about 2.4, absolutely amazing, without a railroad. So she's added that to her game since then. And I presume that's because she wants a faster return.
Try and get through the points faster.
Picking up the pace anyway.
And there's the first game.
Game receiver, 1 game to love.
Saskia looks a little bit nervous.
Love.
There's some uncharacteristic errors. Yeah, it's difficult, I guess, going on court knowing you're facing Claire.
Yes.
Love.
Classic Claire shot then, that heavily cut volley return of serve.
Chase, better than 6.
You could see how she came across to put cut on the ball there, just to try and get the ball to sit down.
That's quite an open stance as well.
Chase, better than 2 chases.
Encouragement from the crowd. The dead on is pretty full here. There are people in the side galleries as well. The tournament's been well supported all week by players and spectators, which is good to see. I think you're right, Chris. I think Saskia does look nervous. Plenty of time left in the game, of course. Will Claire railroad on for chase 6? Presumably, it's what she's done so far.
Server leads 30 love, better than 6.
It looks like it.
Sometimes when you're very good,
40
you get all the
love,
luck.
better than 2.
Yes.
Great shot.
That's a
15,
great
40.
way to get your first point. Be better than 2, isn't it?
Immediate answer from Claire.
2 games to
The
love.
first target and the second game.
$15 love.
First,
30 love.
first good rest of the match there. Ball pinging about.
40 love.
Pretty clinical so far, lethal.
3
Yeah, we've
games
had
to
our
love.
first target and we've had our first good rally. What we haven't had yet is our first error from Claire. She just hasn't missed the ball yet.
I'll bet you one of the croissants behind us that we might have to wait a
15
while
love.
for that.
No deal. There we are.
There you go.
I think you owe me a croissant.
Commentator's curse, that's called.
Chase the door.
Saskia decides she'd like a serve, that
15-all.
seems sensible. 13 points to 2. It's felt like that as well.
$30-15.
Here we go.
Missed that wide timbre you were talking about there, Chris, and
Yeah.
put it down under the
Saskia couldn't believe it.
You can see the effort that Saskia's tried to put in to really fizz the ball back over the net, because she knows she's got to go for her shots.
It's quite remarkable how good she's got living in a country which doesn't have a court,
That's true.
playing just a few times a year.
Yeah, absolutely. But so far, this is Claire's day. 3 love, 30-40 to Claire, and chase the door. What would you serve if you were Saskia here?
Receiver leads 40-30. Chase the door.
If you serve a fast railroad, you'll stop the galleries, or your second gallery, but you won't stop the force. So I'd be serving a drag.
Okay, well, we'll see what she goes for.
She's going for the railroads. So.
Oh, beautifully cut.
Yeah.
And a fist bump from Claire.
Games
We
to
should keep
receiver,
track of those
4
as
games
well.
to love.
I'm told by Ben Gertenbeek, who's on stats, that's the second fist bump of the morning to Claire, both of them. Trying a different serve. Not for much
Chase the
longer.
last gallery.
Now, we disagree about this, Chris. I think that's good tennis. That's a good shot. Win the serve.
Better than 5, 2 chases.
An immediate return to the service end for Claire. It's the she looks like she's got an enormous amount of time on those returns of serve.
Yes, just looks totally at home on the court, doesn't she?
Yeah, there's nothing surprising. I guess the court play is very true here. It's fast, isn't it? But
Lovell,
there's not too
last
many
gallery.
surprises.
Fault.
Chase last gallery, second serve. There's the timbre and a third fist pump.
15 love, better than 5.
Tough. She chose to volley that
30 love.
return of serve there when there was time for it to bounce. That's a good shot. Great volley return.
Yeah, it's her best stroke, that one.
15, 30.
Ouch. So we're seeing on the screen there, Saskia's yet to win a service point. She hasn't had very many of them.
Hazard half a yard,
Gonna have
40-15, 1 chase.
Another go now. It's very tough this, isn't it? Claire's playing very well. She just seems to have an enormous amount of time on the court. That's what strikes me watching this. Saskia's scurrying from one side to the other to try and keep the ball in play and to get on top of the point, and Claire is in control of all of the rests.
Yep, it's real class.
Receiver leads. 40-15. Hazard half a yard.
Oh, beautiful.
Point. Games to receiver, 5 games to love.
Saskia really hasn't found a serve that troubles Claire at all.
Chase. Better than last gallery. Lovell.
Claire's happy to take long chases and get back down this end.
Start. 15 love.
One chase pending still, 15 love. Oh.
Yep, as you were saying, getting the bits of luck.
Yep, but you wrote ages ago that if you're playing well, it's amazing how often the luck goes on your side.
Mm-hmm.
And these things aren't random. I'd put that down to home court advantage as well. You know where the net is. Sorry, you were going to say?
I was going to say that it appears that if you serve short to Claire, she's going to play that punishing volley return serve. And if you serve deep, she's going to chop it into the backhand corner. That's her formula. She hasn't brought out the big force yet.
Fault.
Chase is better than last. Oh, great volley. Sent Saskia the wrong way.
30 love, second gallery.
Good choice. Got hold of that one.
15,
Got away with it. Straight down the line. Simple and effective.
40-15.
Set point.
Chase the door. 40-15 on chase.
Been a lot of long chases here, Chris. So I think that's the second or third time that Saskia's had chased the door. We've had second as well. Both players really trying to get hold of the service end and taking that over, cutting to short chases.
Well, let's say you were playing Claire. Do you fancy yourself getting a chase on the floor against her?
No, mind you, I don't fancy myself getting out of the hazard end if I was on court. So. Saskia's got to find something to stay in the set here.
Fault.
One fault. Serve is loose. Beautifully placed, and that's the set to Claire.
6 games to run. Second set. Level.
Saskia challenging in a couple of games there, but Claire very much on top. Second set.
Chase nearly a yard worse than last gallery. Level.
And that's 2 chases at the start of the second set. And at this point, I shall hand over to Claire Bucknell for this set. But while we swap over, Chris, what would you tell Saskia to change if you had a moment to coach her right now?
I don't think I'd be advising Saskia to try and play safer. She's got to keep going for her shots. Just to be more aggressive and try and make fewer mistakes. Welcome, Claire.
Hi, Chris. Great to be here along such a champion of the game.
Yeah,
Here we are.
Chris Lintot's a wonderful commentator, but he doesn't have the stamina, does he? Only good for one set.
Agreed. It's just nice to hear a woman's voice sometimes, isn't it?
15 love, better than 2.
That's falling long, so that is point
30
Claire.
love.
Saskia needs to get that volley return of serve going.
At the moment, she's really not been given a chance to get that volley return of serve going. Claire's sus, that's her favourite shot, and isn't giving her the right serves, I think.
Well, she could have volleyed that one, you see.
Ah, yes.
2 chases.
And that just fell for a hazard. That timbre really is very wide.
It is.
Aggressively wide timbre there, catching even Claire out.
And I think if you were rebuilding the Oratory court, you probably would change the degree by a couple of... I mean, that was a good shot of Claire's, a good stroke to the bottom of the timbre. For it to make a hazard, I think it is unfortunate.
Yes, perhaps a fault of the design of the court rather than Claire's racket, I think we can say.
Receiver leads 30 love, better than second gallery.
And let's see what serve Saskia brings out here. Her first serves of the second set.
Yep.
That's a really nice pickup from Saskia.
15-30, hazard, better than half a yard.
Saskia just missing those key targets there, sending it on the penthouse instead of the grill.
Chase, better than 2, 40-15, 1 chase.
So how much have you been on tour with these two?
Quite a lot over the years. Yes, I've lost many a humiliating match to one of these two, Love and Love, so I know how it feels. But Saskia's playing a bit more aggressively, I thought, in that last game, possibly hitting the ball a little harder, and I don't know if you think that's maybe the way she should go.
I think that's what she's got to do. I think she's got to start enjoying it more and going for her shots.
Server leads,
Okay, let's see how that plays out for her.
2.
But she's got a better than 2 to beat here, so dead on or nothing, really.
Fault.
That's a really good length bobble, isn't it?
That is a perfect bobble. And Claire, in fact, said in her the questionnaire she filled out for us that she loves the bobble, she relies on it when she needs to, and it's a superb serve. It's unlucky. That is the game.
15 love. 30 love.
Possibly a bit swingy there, Chris.
Yeah, but she needs to go for it.
Agreed.
Chase, last gallery.
As our friend Chris Lintott would say, good tennis.
I prefer effective tennis.
Ooh.
40 love, 1 chase.
Bit of back chat there from Chris Ronaldson. Doesn't quite agree. So Claire looking very smooth, in control here. Saskia changing up the pace, but also possibly bringing in a couple of errors.
Yep. Claire's been playing, I think, since the age of 11. So she's, without saying too much about her age, it's about 20 years now.
Yes.
Huge experience, been all over the world.
It really pays off. Saskia too, but usually only a couple of times a year since a young age. So has had to build up a game in a slightly different way.
Great length.
Games to receiver, 2 games to love.
Lovely length indeed, and that is the game. 2 love to Claire.
Chase, better than first gallery.
It's a good serve that from Saskia, what do you think?
Yes.
Level.
She needs to vary that serve.
She does. Interesting stat there with the chasers. Saskia, in fact, has laid more than Claire, but possibly long chasers.
Love.
Well, that's a devastating statistic, isn't it? 33 points to 6.
It's not a stat you want to be on the wrong end of, that is for sure. Chance for Saskia and she took it. Excellent shots. Great attacking play. That's what she needs to do.
Yeah, big main wall force.
Yes.
30-15.
And again, a pretty brutal start there. 80% service points, 1 for Claire. Superb shot from Saskia.
Wonderful volley. Always been her best shot.
She's got one of the best volleys in the ladies' game, I think we'd agree. And the more she can use that shot, put it where she wants, the better she'll do. Oh, and a rare error.
31
A rare game point too. Let's see if Sos can capitalise on this.
And it's a long chase, she's got every chance. Little smile from her there. Let's see what can happen. So if you were her, where would you return this? Where would you put it?
Well, hoping that Claire does a loose serve so you get the angle on the galleries. If not, force it on the underneath the corner of the dead on the forehand side to beat the chase on the floor.
That is very specific. Let's see what plays out. That sounds
First
like
of all,
good
you're
advice.
hoping for a wide serve, but something a little bit loose.
All right. She was not given that serve that we were talking about, was she?
She wasn't.
Back to deuce, but still. Good game for Saskia. Keep going.
Hazard, better than 2, deuce.
Leaving that serve there to bounce into the hazards.
Fault. Advantage, 1 chase.
And it was a nice return, but easily diffused by Claire.
I don't really see any weaknesses in Claire's game. Saskia's always been stronger on the forehand side than the backhand, hasn't she? So it suits her to not to get involved in backhand-to-backhand rallies, which is often a common trope in this game.
Yes, and I think Claire has spotted that and is often posting the ball down that backhand side.
Receiver's advantage, hazard, better than 2. Fault.
She's going to have to keep it tight here if she can, otherwise it'll be straight in the gallows from Claire. And I do know something about this game, it turns out.
Yeah.
Showed some very good knowledge from me. 3 love. What can Saskia do now to pull this back? It's a well played point from Saskia, acknowledged there by Claire.
Fault.
Better defence there from Saskia, would you say? I feel like she's staying in the points longer in this set than in the first.
Yes.
But it is quite a barrage. Beautiful cut volley, main wall floor.
Saskia's not only had to cope with living in a country which doesn't have a court, she's had a number of fairly serious injuries as well, which have kept her out of the game for long periods.
That's correct. She had a hip injury and then there was a shoulder, and I think it's been very tough for her those past few years, but she has made really a fantastic comeback into the game. She won the US Open shortly before she got injured, and then yes, they were a couple of years off, but it's great to see her back on court playing so well.
Chase the door.
Great shots.
15-all, worse than 2.
And more even on the points served than you might think. 39-29.
Good rest.
Lovely rest and beautiful retrieving from Claire in the backhand corner.
15.
Saskia had her under pressure there and she dug all the balls out.
Fault.
That wicked timbre again.
15.
Huge and square.
Huge and square. Just like a few players of the game that we could mention. That's a lovely shot from Saskia.
30-40.
Fantastic play from Saskia. It just shows how well she has to play to take those points off Claire.
Serves advantage. Better than 5, advantage, 1 chase.
A rare ball on the reef there from Claire.
Very powerful player, Saskia, isn't she? Powerful family, really. Have you met her brother Paul?
No, I don't know him, no. For the listeners that may not know, he's in fact my fiance.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that, Chris. Yes. But no, also a very powerful player of the game. And they have a long-standing sibling rivalry.
Yes, I know. I marked the final of the Dutch Championships last year.
That's right, of course. Saskia famously beat him in Melbourne, which was a fantastic win for her. Well out. Clever, showing a moment of possible frustration that took her a few shots to close that out. Really good defence from Saskia.
Saskia's definitely playing better now.
She certainly is. Whatever the score says, this is a really good set. Two can play that T&RA game, huh?
Less than 1. 15 love server. Better than 5, 2 chases.
And what do you feel about the lack of facilities provided for the commentators of this game? You know, there's no champagne here, no croissants or anything like that.
I think what people can't see is that Chris and I are sort of squatting in a very makeshift environment. And for us to do our job properly, I think we do need those sort of little luxuries, the champagne, the lobster that people in other sports do have. So just wanted to make our feelings known there.
Perhaps someone will send something in.
Perhaps they will. If anyone's listening, please direct that luxuries parcel to the commentary box of the Oratory. Thank you. Here we are. First chase being played off. It's worse than a yard. Tricky. Beautiful serve. And Fred Sato there has very kindly provided us with a 2018 bottle of Volnay, Clan van de Bourgogne. So thank you, Fred. Much appreciated. Better than 5.
Unlucky.
Very unlucky.
Server leads 30-15. Fault.
Real defence from Saskia there. The wine bottle's just been taken away from us, so that's the end of that.
No chases.
Claire was pushing for the first winning gallery of the match, wasn't
yes,
she?
Didn't quite get there.
Quite get there, but a very effective shot nonetheless. And that brings up game point.
Better than first gallery, 40-30, 1 chase.
Slight misread by Claire there. She thought the ball was going to hit the penthouse rather than the high back wall.
That's the kind of observation we look for from you, Chris. I don't think I would have spotted that myself. I thought it was just a smart leave, but that shows what I know. So, 40-30, 6 love, 4 love.
Yep, it's now or never, really.
It is now or never.
Receiver leads 40-30, better than first gallery.
So if I were Saskia, I'd be trying to remember to hit those hazard galleries, which I'm sure she is thinking about.
games.
That is game. 5 games to
5
love.
games to love.
If Saskia can hold the service end, it will help her.
Let's get that first point.
Yes.
Oh, great serve there.
Stroke.
It's a lovely shot from Claire. I think Saskia perhaps slightly misjudged that
15
one.
love.
Typical broad smile there.
Yes.
Hold.
Best smiles in the game. Got to be up there. Well out.
Chase. Second gallery. 15
Another one of
love,
those
2
long
love.
chasers just to make sure she gets
Yeah.
down the service end again.
Just no let up in the concentration, is there?
No, incredible focus.
Chase. 1 and 2. 2 chases.
There we are, switching ends for what could potentially be the last time of the match, but who knows?
We could have another hour to go, couldn't
We
we?
could definitely have another hour to go. It just slightly messed with the scheduling, but we could. So will Claire go for the railroad here on the second gallery, do you think?
Serve lead.
Probably.
15 love.
Okay.
Second gallery.
Looks like she's holding the right grip. We're
Yep.
Out of shot at the moment.
Yeah, Nostradamus here, got that one right. That is a lovely tight serve, isn't it?
Now the short chase.
Ball up, please.
Yeah.
Saskia.
Saskia likes her down in the
30
force
love.
though, so she can pull one of those
1
out of the
and
bag. Make Claire miss the volley perhaps.
Lost it.
That was a smart
40
leave.
love.
And this brings up match point
3
for
match
Claire.
points. Yeah.
That is correct, good maths there. 3 maths points, here we go.
Game set.
And set the match.
6 love. 6 love.
And I think Saskia will be disappointed not to get a few more games, but Claire truly was on majestic form there. I think we can agree.
Very solid performance.
How would you rank that among her match performances?
She can play better than that. She had a few balls in the penthouse and that, but for this stage of the competition, it's just what she needed.
Yes, a fantastic, solid match. Well, thank you all for listening. We will be back for the second semi-final of the day on court at 12 p.m. and Leah van der Swarman against world number 3 Tara Lumley, both in fantastic form. So we look forward to having you tune in then. I've been Claire Bucknell.
Chris Ronaldson, goodbye
And
for now.
this has been Real Tennis. Goodbye for now.